I love knitting on rainy days, but knitting is more than just about making things. It's also a way of meeting new people, going to visit new places, and trying new things and getting out of the comfort zone. And I just wonder, as I'm exploring and showing these things to you, if you can think about how you can use your craft to broaden your horizons and bring more joy to your life. Hello, welcome to the Wandering Stitches podcast. My name is Jess, and I'd like to welcome you to my space on the internet where I talk about knitting and other crafts. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back and spending time with me. And if this is your first time, I hope that you enjoy this content. Today we're going to talk about my knitting projects, my natural dyeing project, and mostly we're going to be talking about the yarn cruise here in Maine. It's not an actual cruise where you go on a boat, but it is like a yarn crawl, and there are 24 shops, and I have been to 21 of them so far. I have 3 left, and I think I'm going to do it. So I'm going to talk about the yarns that I have seen and the places that I have visited, and I hope that you enjoy this content. I have been working on some natural dyeing, and I went over the process in episode 2, and I decided to take on another project with cedar bark. I was able to harvest some cedar bark when I was down in Jersey this summer. I attended a primitive skills, basically a crafting camp. I went to the Tracker School, Survival School, and I learned there how to make baskets. This is out of cedar bark, and this is my version of a fanny pack. And I made another little basket here. So again, with cedar bark, and I took home some leftover cedar bark, and I was able to make a natural dye out of it. So I had attempted to do a tie-dye with this, and I would say it didn't come out exactly how I wanted it to, but I am going to honor the process and the experimentation and the trying. I'm going to detach myself from the outcome. I'm not going to let that perfectionist within me say that looks like somebody barfed on it, which I did hear earlier, but that's okay. I am given an opportunity to probably re-dye this with another natural dye. I'm given an opportunity to possibly learn how to ice dye, and yeah, and so, and I've been given an opportunity to just be okay with how things turn out. Not everything is perfect. So I also tried to dye the yarn, which I do love the color. I just am disappointed that I didn't get a full saturation of the yarn. I should have left it in longer. But again, I'm given an opportunity to see what happens when I over dye it with another natural dye. So I was informed by a friend who told me that the asters are something that can be used as well. So once those come into bloom, I will collect those and experiment with the asters, and we'll see what happens. So moving on, I am going to talk about my Scottish Shrug Club cowl. I do believe the festival is next weekend, so the Friday Shrug is what it looks like. I am going to block it out, and I can actually put it on. I'm not done yet, but this is pretty much what it's going to look like. and there will be like a cowl effect as it's longer. So yeah, I am furiously trying to get this done for next weekend, so it will be done with the festival. I am working with the Scottish yarn that I got when I was in Scotland visiting the Isle of Skye, and I picked this up. This is just mohair, kid silk. So I'm holding them together. So yeah, so that is my works in progress, and that's pretty much it. So now we're going to talk about my acquisitions. So in Maine, we've been doing 6 years of what we call the Yarn Cruise, and I participated in 2017, and I haven't participated since, but I did go to my local yarn shop, Rosemary's, down in Wyndham, and I was just there for needles, and she convinced me to buy the bag and get the passport. And knowing me, it didn't take a lot of arm twisting, but I also knew that once I bought it, I was committed, and there's 24 shops, and look, this is what I've gotten done so far, and look at all my stamps. So I have 3 more, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to do it. One of them might require an overnight because it is in Greenville, but the other one is Portland and Damariscotta, so I think I can do those in a day, no problem. And when I did take on this project or this endeavor, I decided that I was going to go with the intention of buying Maine Yarn and just doing a project with all the Maine yarn, and I was trying to figure out what a colorful project would be, and of course I haven't done this yet, so I'm super glad that I'm able to show up to the night shift party really late, but I'm super excited that I have been collecting the yarn for this project. And the night shift is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and the other cool thing that I can appreciate is that she is a resident here in Maine, and so I feel like this is all like a Maine-made project. And with the yarn that I have amassed, I believe I could probably get the night shift cowl and maybe even a sweater. And I know I just said cowl, but I actually am gonna do the shawl because I have a ton of yarn. So I wanted to just kind of quickly go through the different yarn shops and to show you what the yarn shops have as far as Maine yarn. And so I'll start with the obvious ones like Bartlett yarn up in Harmony, and so this is what I was able to get. And there was so many choices with the yarn in worsted weight, and so I wanted to do that shawl in worsted because I figured I could probably capture the most amount in all of the shops. So there's that, and Nescott Farms. Again, very difficult, I think, to pick the colors, but in some places it was actually pretty easy because this was all they had. But Good Karma Yarn in Bridgeton. Oh, and Nescott Farm is in Turner. And so look at this color. Isn't that beautiful? And this is alpaca, and this is their colorway Tangerine. And I will show you the project that I am using as an inspiration to collect all of these colors. So Nescott Farm and Good Good Farm, my goodness, Good Karma Yarn. And speaking of alpaca farms, I went up to Unity, where the Maine alpaca experience is, and I got this gray, and this is just, I love it. It's an absolute dream to hold, and I can't wait to knit with it. And let's see, so one of the other new stores that is here in Maine is the Biddeford Fiber company, Biddeford Fiber store. And so typically it's just Biddeford Fiber, and that's in Biddeford. And she just opened up, I believe, last September. So I was excited to go down and check out what she had. She has a beautiful little shop, and I asked her what Maine yarn she had, and she showed me this. And this is a beautiful green, and it comes from Sea Colors Yarnery, and Nanny, I think I'm pronouncing this right. Nanny is in Washington, Maine, and what she does is she dyes the yarn with natural colors using seawater. So, so I thought that was unique. And let's see. So in Farmington, I went up to Pins and Needles, and this is what they had. They did not have much of a selection of Maine yarns, but they did have this, and I think this is beautiful. This is a Romney lamb worsted spun, and it's spun by Arustic Fiber Works, and there's a little picture of the lambs. And let's see. Maine Fiber up in Bangor, one lupin. There we go. And they have a ton of Maine yarn. And that was another place. Oh, what am I saying? It was all difficult to pick. The yarn seller down in York has this yarn from My Maine Farm Girl, and you can look her up at mymainefarmgirl.com. And this is from the Bittersweet Heritage Farm in Port Clyde Village. I looked her up on her website, and it didn't really look like she had too much yarn. Must be small batches. This came from the Quilt and Fiber in Southwest Harbor on Mount Desert Island, and this is a Hilltop hand spun. And look at that beautiful pink, and it's incredibly soft. And we went to Hancock Shirley's Yarns and Gifts, and they had Bartlett, so I got this green. And they had a lot of yarn and a lot of cool things like gifts and other Maine-made products. And let's see. I went to A Wrinkle in Time in Sumner, Maine, and this one was natural dyed with madder root. And this is what sort of was the catalyst for my natural dyeing experiment and adventure, I should say. So I went to Camden and visited Cashmere Goat, and this is from the Alpaca Yarn Company, and this is beautiful. This came from the store in Waterville, the Good Yards. I always want to say yarn goods, but it's yard goods. And they have a ton of fabric, so if you're a quilter, a sewer, and a person in need of yarn, this is your place to go in Waterville. And this is from On the Round. And this colorway is As You Wish. And I'm sorry I haven't been telling you all the colorways. I hope that's okay. I will put all of these on Ravelry in my night shift shawl project. And this I got in Machias when I went up to Woolies. And this is Jagerspun. If they didn't have, most places had Jagerspun, and this is from Springvale, Maine. And this colorway is Super Lamb. And it looks like Woolies is just in the process of changing locations to a larger location, I believe, because there's a ton of space. And this is another Jagerspun. I hope I'm saying that right. From Springvale. And I picked this up at Happy Knits in Skowhegan. It's just a simple cream natural. Here's another Jagerspun. So that's kind of the go-to. If I couldn't find anything as far as Maine made, Jagerspun was the go-to. So this came from Mother of Pearl Yarn Shop in Freeport. And I don't know what colorway this one is. Sylvan Green. Sylvan Green. This one's Edelweiss. And I said this is Super Lamb, but I mixed it up. This is called Apricot. And let's see, we went up to Callus. And this is from Dun Roving. And I'm really glad that I was able to get up to that shop because they are closing their location in November, and they're just going to be doing shows, like traveling to other people, but they're going to close their location there in Callus. So it was really exciting to see her shop and to see all the yarns in one place. So we went to Castine, and we went to the Mary Margaret's mercantile shop, and I've been to Castine a bunch of times, and every time I go in there I always feel like a fancy lady because they have luxury soaps, really luxurious pajamas, clothing. It's really like finery stuff. And then I'm super excited that they opened up a little room with yarn. And so this is from On the Round, and this colorway is called Honeycomb. And I believe this is my favorite. I think I saved the best for last. And this isn't worsted, but I saw it and I had to get it. And I'll just hold it double. This is from Heavenly Yarns and in Belfast, and this colorway is Zinnia, and it is from the Seven Sisters Arts. This is a fingering, so I may even have to hold it triple, I guess, but I'll make it work. But yeah, Seven Sisters Arts, and like I said, it's Zinnia, and you can look them up online as well. I will put a link to each store and the description of the yarn in the description box below, as well as in Ravelry. So if you have any questions, you can certainly ask me in the comments as well. So that is my mountain of yarn. and I will show you what my inspiration was. It is my summer garden, and I wanted to capture all of the floral colors in this one picture, and I'll pop it up in the edit. But this is the book that I brought with me on each visit to the shop, and I'm a little behind on cataloging the yarns, but I would go in there with this picture and I would just sort of hold up the yarns. So yeah, get me through a lot of winter knitting and remind me in the dead of winter how much color we will get back in the summer, and will bring us cheer. So that is it. I think that's enough. I really appreciate you being here, and I thank you for stopping by. And if you've made it to the end, good on you. I really appreciate you hanging in there with all that yarn talk. So I'm going to insert a little photo collage of my trip. Just recently, Corinne and I, we took a road trip. We drove up to Calais, and then we made our way to Machias. We stayed at the Margaretta Inn. It was a lovely inn. It was perfect for an overnight, reasonably priced. And we also had dinner at Helen's restaurant, which was delicious. And we got there just in time. There was a huge wait. And we just sat at the counter. We didn't have to wait. And the seafood chowder was delicious. I got a panini sandwich and a dessert, and I don't think I've ever had anything so delicious. It was good and reasonably priced too. So if you're here in Maine and you have an opportunity, you still have time to go participate in the yarn cruise, and it goes until October 9th. And if you are not gonna do it this year, then certainly do it next year. It's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate being able to get out and go up to places like Harmony. I don't think I've ever gone up there for the sake of it, and I got to see the alpacas, so that was a lot of fun. I don't think that I ever would have gone up to Calais or Machias, although I've always wanted to, because I love to hike, and I have seen pictures in the Maine Hiker Facebook group. People will post pictures of the Bold Coast, and my intention is to go back and do the loop. There's a hike that goes along the water. Corinne and I were not as adventurous in the rain, and we had an agenda. We had a yarn shopping agenda, so we didn't really have a whole lot of time for hiking, but we definitely want to go back. We even sort of came up with this grand scheme of doing like a yarn cruise tour, where we rented a van and we set up a long weekend where we just brought everybody to all the destinations on the passport, and made an event out of it. So that might happen in a couple of years. But we had a lot of fun together going on this road trip. So it's always good to have crafty friends, and I love building the community here, and I thank you for all the kind comments and the likes, subscribes, and shares. I really do appreciate that, and I have so much more to share. Obviously, I still have some works in progress, and hopefully next time you see me, I will have some finished objects. I've been hiking, so I have some footage to show you from my trip up Pleasant Mountain. And yeah, fall's coming, so I hope to get out there with the foliage and show you some beautiful Maine scenery in the fall, because it's absolutely gorgeous. So I hope you are well and you do all the things that you love. Take care now.
Here's a tangent. We were heading out of Bangor, heading up to Callus, and we came across this scene that I immediately thought of Don Quixote. "What giants?" said Sancho Panza. "Those that you see over there," responded his master, "with the long arms, some of them almost 2 leagues long." "Look, your grace," responded Sancho. "What you see over there aren't giants, they're windmills, and what seems to be arms are the sails that rotate the millstone when they're turned by the wind." "It seems to me," responded Don Quixote, "that you aren't well versed in adventures. They are giants, and if you are afraid, get away from here and start praying while I go into fierce and unequal battle with them."